how can people who have suffered so much live side by side as ostensible equals in a shared state? Well, first of all, I don't pretend to tell Palestinian people what they should want. And so if Palestinian people themselves say, we want our own state, we don't want to live, I'm not intending to force them. I can say what my preference is, but of course it's at their agreement. That's my hope. In terms of, is it even possible? Thankfully, we live in a world in which there are examples of people trying to do so, and at least to some measure succeeding. I don't need to tell you about the experience of this country, just a few kilometers to the north. There's people who just a couple decades ago were at each other's throats, could not imagine in any scenario sending their kids to school with this, the children of their enemies. It was beyond fathoming for most people, and yet today, it would seem that at least there's efforts to move forward. I'm not saying it's perfect. Same thing in South Africa. Who could have imagined that apartheid would end and that there wouldn't be retribution? And it's not perfect by any stretch of the imagination. We don't have, equality across the board. There's still forms of economic apartheid, no doubt. But at least on the surface of it, there are efforts to live side by side, even though decades of apartheid, oppressed people. So I'd like to hope that it is possible. The human beings are capable of overcoming that. Not saying it's going to be easy, just as in South Africa, they have this Truth and Reconciliation Committee, and justifiably so, because people should have to answer for what happened. I'm not suggesting people paper over it, yalla, everything's smoothed over. So obviously there's got to be a process. But is it possible? It is possible. Is it going to happen in our lifetimes, in the next few years? Without some kind of external factor, it would seem the answer is no, because as I was saying just 1 second, as what's happening right now, as I'm demonstrating, there is no force within Jewish-Israeli society capable of pushing back, and seemingly the Palestinian society, they've tried nonviolent protests, they've tried military force, they've tried boycott, no matter what tactic they're taking, it doesn't seem to be enough. Right? Violent, non-violent, negotiating, not standing off. So it would seem that only pressure from the outside, as you pointed out, we haven't seen anything of. It doesn't seem like there can be any way to reverse or even slow down what I'm looking at. I'm sad to say. Can that happen? Can there be an international protest? If you want to have like you said, for some people, violence is the answer. If you want to create a non-violent solution, the only way to do that is by changing people's minds and hearts. The only way to do that is with information. And you said in your first comment, the stuff you're showing me, we never see this in the media, TV, newspapers, all these are new facts to me. And this is the problem. In my opinion, this is part of the problem. Why should I have to come here to Ireland to explain this to you? You should be able to check Twitter, check Facebook, check the news, your own news sources right here in the country, and see this same stuff. I don't have any extrasensory abilities. I'm not a superhero. I don't have ESP. What I'm doing is simply reporting what's happening. Admittedly, I speak fluent Hebrew, so I'm able to translate, but so should every other reporter living in the country speak either Hebrew or Arabic or both and be able to do that. You should be receiving this information. So this is a failure of the media.